welcome to SveNFL.
What is up, y'all?
It's Jonathan Rollins.
Schif me, Sarah.
Two Americans living in Sweden talking about the motherfucking Super Bowl.
Let's go with the motherfucking Super Bowl.
Man. The Super Bowl is in the books. We have another one, man. Another season under our belts. This is our third one together, brother.
That's true, actually.
Our first episode was in the summer of 2020 when we didn't know if there would be an NFL season.
God, that's so crazy to think about.
Yeah.
I remember us talking about that.
Yeah.
Like what a brilliant time to start an NFL podcast in the year where there might actually not be a fucking NFL season because of COVID.
What's wrong with y'all?
Good timing, guys. Way to go.
Yeah,
the world really needed that. Really needed your contribution to the NFL stratosphere.
Yeah, but we did it. And now,
well, you know, in all fairness, you could say that we maybe saved the 2020 season, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, of course, we came along when the season was in doubt. It happened. The fact that we came along at a time when the season was in doubt and then it happened, is that a coincidence that it happened? I don't know.
Is that proof that we have our finger on the pulse of the NFL? We're trailblazers.
With everyone out here just picking their own facts, like, why not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why not just go with it?
Yeah. So have you seen the Super Bowl?
I have seen it. I know that. So there were like 113 million American viewers who watched the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I think it's just a pinch shy of the record, I think, of 114 million. I'm pretty sure the international average is somewhere between 30 and 50 million annually.
Okay.
I did not watch it live, but you did. How was your setup?
Well, as you may know, for some reason, my internet was out. Like the whole internet was out in this area for the whole weekend.
Weird.
Yeah, it went out Friday, and then I called my provider, and they were like, typical Swedish customer service, like, yeah, man. They're just like, yeah, man, it's out. And he was like surprised, and then he looked into it. He's like, oh yeah, it's out for your whole neighborhood. So I was like, okay, are y'all gonna fix it? He said, yeah, they're probably working on it. They're probably back in a few hours. It came back yesterday,
right?
From Friday, because of course nobody came in to fix it on a weekend.
Do you know this happened in Philadelphia as well?
Really?
Right before the Super Bowl. I saw an article about this yesterday, that there was a section of Philly where there was, there were a bunch of Philly fans who were unable to actually watch the game until like the second quarter.
Oh, that sucks.
I don't think it was an internet thing. I think it was specifically like a
broadcast outage.
Yeah, something like that, or like a specific cable provider, like Comcast or Xfinity or something like that.
Man, I want to hear the customer service calls.
Oh yeah, folks were upset, I'm sure.
Oh
yeah, dude. I'm gonna come to your house. I'm gonna kill your mother. I'm gonna kill your grandmother.
I got a fucking bat, and I swear on Rocky himself, I will kill you.
Where did you wind up watching the game?
Oh yeah, so because of that, also Martin got sick. So he had to cancel, and that was where we were going to watch it at. It started like looking like a grim night. So then I hit Sean up, told him Martin didn't have the place, told him about my internet situation. I didn't want to like make my phone hotspot watch the Super Bowl. I would have lost all my data right then. So we went to the studio, man. Went to the sound lounge.
Oh, nice.
I took my 7-layer dip. I took my my Wendy's hot honey sliders and some sodas to stay up. And then we went over there and watched the game.
Just you and Sean?
Yeah, it was just me and Sean. You say just like Sean's not enough. I don't think he would appreciate that.
Well, I mean, he is a Chargers fan, which is by definition not enough.
It's like just short of good.
Right. You know, I'm just fucking with you, Sean. We love you, brother.
But yeah, we watched it. It
uh,
was great, man. It was great.
we watched it last night on Monday night. We waited for Isak to come home from basketball practice, and the whole family piled into the living room. We watched the game in 40. We paused it at the half, watched the Rihanna halftime show, and then watched the rest of the game.
Okay.
So we kind of we had a shortened version of the Super Bowl.
So you haven't
and
seen
it was
commercials?
Great. No, I haven't seen the commercials, and frankly, I know that maybe this is like maybe a not so popular take, but I don't really give a shit about Super Bowl commercials. I truly don't.
Okay.
The fact that there are these, I think it's kind of the DNA of it all that you have these companies that are literally paying over $7 million for 30 seconds to sell me everything that isn't fucking nailed down.
Speaking of nailed down, there was a big Jesus commercial.
Yeah. Speaking of Jesus nailed it. Now that might be one of the greatest transitions. That might be one of the most shining Sergeant Segway moments I think I've ever heard in my life. Speaking of nailed down, there was a Jesus commercial. Oh my God. I wish I had like a award I could give you right now. That was absolutely brilliant.
Thanks.
I feel like I have to write it down. It's so funny I have to write that down. Speaking of nailed down, I went to church this morning. God, that was great.
They had a Jesus commercial, man. I was like,
what
really?
Was it?
It was like showing like polarization, political polarization. Basically, they were like showing that people are really mad and angry at each other, and they're showing both sides of like protests and like all of these grim still shots from the past 10 years or so. It's like showing how the world is divided, basically, and then it says he loves us or something like that. And it's like pray.com.
Oh, right. I've seen it. They've had several leading up to the Super Bowl. They had one where they were trying to draw attention to the fact that Jesus was also a migrant, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm familiar with the campaign. No, they sort of like they were showing, like they were telling the story of a Mexican or a South American or some kind. I think it was like a Mexican family and how their lives are like, oh yeah, they have a happy life, blah blah blah, and then shit hits the fan, and then they kind of tie it all into the Jesus thing. Yeah, anyway, that's funny. I don't really give a shit about that. I love seeing the halftime show, the commercials. I could care less.
Okay.
But yeah, we had a great experience. I like that we were able to kind of. That's the first time we've ever done that. I think where we all sat down and watched it together, man. Like that.
It sounds.
That game in 40 is great.
Oh yeah, Game in 40 is great. But we did watch the commercial. We were kind of giving thumbs up, thumb down. You know what I mean, for the ones that we didn't like, and all of that. But for the most part, it was funny stuff, man. Good commercials. And
that's cool.
It was a nice experience. I was really glad that Greg Olson was one of the commentators. He's good, man. He's shooting it up to one of the top commentators in the league, I think.
He is good, but we'll get to him later because I have a bit of an issue with something he did in the broadcast that I think, I think he had an unfortunate part to play in the controversial call that everyone's still talking about. That I think he played inadvertently played a very irresponsible role in that.
Yeah, I get that. How do we talk about it? Do we start with some news and updates and stuff, or do we go right into the game?
Well, I have a few things that I would like to address before we get to the game. First of all, what a fucking Super Bowl. I mean, just in general.
Yeah, well
Uh,
produced. Even those on Fox.
yeah. Chiefs win 38-35. I mean, for me personally, I feel like I had to chalk this up as another example of why you should never bet against Patrick Mahomes. This is
Yeah.
this is a mistake that I certainly will not make again. I honestly don't care if, like, let's say this dude wins the AFC Championship again, but in the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl, Mahomes gets hit by a train. Right, he gets hit by a train, and forget about the ankle. They have to amputate both of his legs, and this guy comes out and says, "You know what? It sucks. I lost my legs, but you can count on me. I'm good to go. I'm going to play." I'm sorry, but I'm going to bet that he's going to win the game, even with no fucking legs. This guy's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Not only that, he overcame what some are referring to as like a quadruple curse. Have you read about this?
No.
Okay. The last 9 regular season MVPs to make the Super Bowl have lost the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Tom Brady 2017, Matt Ryan 2016, Cam Newton 2015, Peyton Manning twice 2013 and 2009, Tom Brady again in 2007, Sean Alexander in 2005, Rich Gannon 2002, Kurt Warner in 2001. All of them won the MVP of the season and lost the Super Bowl. Not since the year 2000 has it ended with the MVP trophy and the Super Bowl. Kurt Warner, when they won their first one, I guess in '99, is the last time a league MVP won the Super Bowl, and now Mahomes has done it.
So that's one. So that's one curse.
The coin flip curse. The last 8 Super Bowl teams to win the coin toss have lost the game. Chiefs won the coin toss
and deferred.
I think by picking tails, actually.
Yeah, it was tails. Because I was like, we halfway had that bet, but then we said tails equals victory. Betting against Mahomes.
The third curse is the Drake curse.
Okay.
Drake revealed before the game that he was betting $700,000 on the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, in addition to other parlays totaling nearly $1 million. For a while, the Grammy Award-winning artist's sports pick meant a definite defeat, right? There are a lot of fans that thought that Drake just even wearing a team shirt would mean an L.
Finals too, like hockey, like whatever he does, yeah.
Everything. He's also a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, and the Maple Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup in like over 50 years. I think it's like the longest cup drought in the NHL. Drake was famously a big fan of Johnny Manziel shortly before his career fell off a cliff. He also bet on Serena Williams in 2015 U.S. Open Finals. That didn't go well. He bet on the Golden State Warriors in the 2016 NBA Finals. Did not end well. This got so bad that Italian soccer club AS Roma once joked on social media in 2019 that its players were banned from taking photos with Drake. He also recently bet on the San Francisco 49ers to win the NFC Championship. We all saw how that ended. Yeah. So, yeah, he bet on the Chiefs, and they still won. And the final curse is the Rocky Balboa statue curse.
Okay.
Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce already warned the Kansas City Chiefs fans not to interfere with the legend of the Rocky Balboa statue. For years, opposing fans' teams' merchandise being placed on the figure has not ended well. This so-called phenomena have most recently displayed during last month's NFC Championship game. The legend prevailed twice in 2018 when the Eagles won the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl. After the Vikings and Patriots attempted to test the Balboa theory.
You don't test Rocky.
No, you don't test Rocky. But apparently some clown put a Chiefs jersey on the statue, and it didn't matter. Now, there is a rumor that this Balboa curse thing is really more of an inside job. Like it's Eagles fans putting opposing teams' gear on the statue to keep the myth alive. So I don't know. We'll see. But either way, the curse is broken. Mahomes
Yeah.
just walked in and said, "Yeah, you can take your curses and you can shove them up your ass because I have Travis Kelce and I have Andy Reid and I
That's
have
the
Eric
key,
Bieniemy.
man.
So
When we
so
get
suck on
into
that."
it, I want to talk about how Andy Reid is the real MVP.
Oh, for sure. But let's do it. Let's get into the game. And Eagles fans, if you're listening, I hate to say this, but you had them.
Yes.
You absolutely had them.
Right
You had
there.
the Chiefs right where you wanted them, up against the ropes, up by 10 at the half. I mean, the Eagles ran twice as many plays compared to the Chiefs in the first half.
It was all textbook
45 to
how to
20.
beat them. Yeah.
I think it was like 45 plays to 20 plays or something. Time of possession was so fucking lopsided.
Yeah.
The Chiefs only had the ball for 8 minutes in the first half. The Eagles had it for like nearly 20 minutes, I think. And Hurts
22 minutes.
Hurts was unreal. He was so good in the first. Well, he was good throughout the game for the most part.
Besides the fumble.
Right, which we'll definitely get to that.
Yeah.
I mean, Hurts was playing the game of his life, and Mahomes' ankle looked like, he looked like he re-injured it right before the half. I have the real MVP needs to be whatever they shot into his ankle at halftime easily. I mean, I don't even know what that was, like some kind of like space interstellar serum from the planet.
Give me whatever you got. Doc. Give me whatever you got.
Yeah. Some kind of magic stardust from the third stratosphere of the universe or something. I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, it worked.
The Guardians of the Galaxy were waiting in the locker room.
Totally, because Mahomes came out in the second half, and I mean, just launching these 3 straight touchdown drives to wrestle the game away from the Eagles, who, to the Eagles' credit, I mean, they battled all the way to the end. But the second half, the second half kind of made me think of that famous Mike Tyson quote. You know, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs, they fucking punched the shit out of them. I mean, a punch that clearly led to the Chiefs becoming only the second team in NFL history to come back from double-digit halftime deficit to win the Super Bowl. The other time that this happened was, well, the other time it happened is it's so fuzzy in my memory that I don't even know if it actually happened. I try to block it out. But yeah, of course it was the Falcons. You fucking stupid Falcons. Kyle Shanahan. What do you make of how the Eagles started this game?
I liked it, man. I liked that they started out aggressive. They were down to go down the field too. And then Hurts it was like mistake free. It just came out
for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
the Eagles. The Eagles have had quick starts all year.
Yeah.
That's been kind of their like in their DNA.
But they were surprised that the Chiefs decided to defer when they won the toss. They commented on that, how the Eagles are the best at coming down and scoring. And but they still were like, y'all take the ball. We'll take it at the half.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the thing that's so fascinating about Mahomes, and especially as we're alluding to earlier, Andy Reid, like, I think they have such a great awareness of the fact that the game is actually 4 quarters, not one quarter. Mm-hmm. I saw some crazy stat yesterday. I don't remember. It was something like in the 94 games that Patrick Mahomes has started, 90 of them have, he's never been down by more than 1 score. Like, you're just not, you're not going to blow out this team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Mahomes Hurts was great. The dude was 27 for 38, 304 passing yards, 1 passing TD, no picks. Plus he had the 15 carries for 70 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. The 70 yards is a Super Bowl record for a quarterback, and the 3 TDs and the 20 points that he scored tied a Super Bowl record. The fumble that led to the Nick Bolton touchdown, for me, is the only real mistake. And unfortunately, when you go up against a team as good as the Chiefs, a lot of times mistake-free football is what's required if you expect to win, and even that is not a guarantee.
Chiefs defense really, despite letting 35 points come up on them, they stepped up, man. It should have been 2 defensive touchdowns. One was taken off of the board. And then it was looking bad. It was looking bad then. If that would have swung, it was a bang bang play. I understand the way they called it, but to me, to the naked eye, it looked like a catch and a fumble. And if that goes through, then the game looks way different. Because once it turned to, all right, y'all got to throw this ball, it was a different thing. Like that's
especially when he had to, especially when he had to throw the most limp dick Hail Mary I think I've ever seen.
Well, that comes to this. We're talking about the production of the Super Bowl. They didn't have to have all of that damn paint out there. You know, people were slipping around anytime they were running into that paint. And he stepped in.
Do you think that was it?
You can see it. I watched it again. He steps in the paint.
I didn't see it.
Yeah,
because I was going to talk about
he slipped when he threw it.
Okay. AJ Brown, 96 yards and a touchdown. Devontae Smith, 100 yards receiving. Both of them getting open for deep shots. Some of those catches by AJ Brown. I mean, poor Titans fans had to be sitting there watching this game. Mad as hell.
You know what, Schif? I had a parlay bet out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
My parlay bet, for those of you that want to feel the heartbreak of gambling, it was Chiefs victory.
Mm-hmm.
It was Kelsey touchdown. Mm-hmm. It was over in the score, more than 51 points. And it was Devontae Smith touchdown. And when he catches that ball and he's about to score, we were jumping up and down like, I'm going to hit this parlay. And he stumbles out of bounds at the 1 yard line, only for Jalen Hurts to score the touchdown.
Shit. I didn't even think about that.
And then we got the first penalty. I don't know if you noticed that, but we bet the first penalty to be the pass interference. And it was.
Did we hit that?
Yeah, offensive pass interference.
Wow. Yes. Interesting. And offensive pass interference. That's unexpected.
I thought it was a holding in there, like offensive pass interference. We're like, yes.
I mean, the Eagles' offense was firing on all. Well, not okay. The only bad thing you could say about the Eagles' offense is that they were never really able to get their more traditional run game going. They only had 115 total rushing yards, and Hurts had 70 of them. So full credit to the Chiefs' D-line, and especially the linebackers.
The first drive, Gainwell was getting some good chunk yards, and then it kind of stopped after that.
I think the Chiefs linebackers really woke up after that drive because Gainwell, Sanders, Boston Scott, I mean, they were outside of that first drive, they were really kind of they did not really factor into the rest of this game in any big way.
That number 54 was flying around out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember his name.
And
was standing up.
Yeah, Nick Bolton too. We'll get to him in a minute. Yeah. He was unbelievable. The other problem the Eagles had was their defense. Historic defense. Coming into this game with 78 sacks on the year. Did not manage to sack Patrick Mahomes even once. They also looked pretty vulnerable against the run, as I predicted. Not a very good run defense, even though some people disagreed with me. I mean, the Chiefs didn't run the ball as much, but they definitely outran the Eagles in total rushing yards. Pacheco, Jesus Christ, this guy. How much do you love the way this guy runs like his life depends on it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His legs are like angry pistons. You know? It's like
yes.
What do you got? 15 carries for 76 yards, rushing touchdown, a little over 5 yards per carry. This dude was a 7th round rookie out of Rutgers, picked really not that far ahead of Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy. Mm-hmm. So think about that. That's pretty amazing. Mahomes obviously ran for 44 yards.
That last run, talk about grit.
That huge 26-yard scramble in the second half. That was That one led to the go-ahead touchdown, right? I think. And then, of course, my man from Marietta, Georgia, Jerick McKinnon. Yeah, he only had 34 yards on 4 carries, but my boy was averaging 8.5 yards per carry, plus a couple of receptions, marching him down the field. He's a good man. Don't mess with my man from Marietta.
You know, the coaches saw something and exploited the hell out of it in that second half. 2 of those touchdowns wide open, and also that one play to Kadarius Toney, the little like swing route where he pretended he was going to do a screen block and then he fades out, and the defenders are all confused. Like they out-coached the Eagles.
Yes, and those 2 touchdowns, the Kadarius Toney one and the Sky Moore touchdown, it was the same play.
Yeah, they just did it on the opposite
side. It's the exact same play. They just did it on the opposite side.
Yeah.
And I read an interview with Andy Reid yesterday where they were asking him about it, and they said that it's one of those plays where there's like 3 different options, and we kind of leave it up to Mahomes what he wants to do. But we know that if we send that receiver in, as soon as we see the safety kind of going with him, and we realize that we can all we have to do is snap the ball, he turn around and the guy's going to be wide open. And then in the interview, they asked him, they said, "Do you have a name for the play?" Mm-hmm. And he said, "Yeah, we call it corn dog." And they asked him, he said that me and Bieniemy, we call it corn dog. And they said, "Why?" He's like, "Well, we like to eat."
We like to eat.
I was like, it's absolutely brilliant.
Wow. That's a great, and then it showed that they're like, okay, this is what they're gonna do, and it's gonna get us open every time. It was almost unfair how open those 2 touchdowns were, to where it's just only coaching, and you can see the guy passing it off on the first one. He's like waving to the safety, like, all right, you take this, I got this or whatever, and then he turns around and is wide open.
In my opinion, the Eagles gave the Chiefs everything they had, but as the field started to tilt in the second half, they basically fell victim to what I would argue, outside of the brilliance of Bieniemy and Reid, is essentially probably the greatest active quarterback in the NFL, and could be the greatest quarterback we've seen when it's all said and done. But that's a conversation for later. But if you look at the box score, the guy, I mean, he's 21 for 27. He only threw for 182 yards, but he threw 3 touchdown passes, no picks, and then of course the 44 yards rushing, playing through the high ankle sprain, managing the game like an absolute assassin, bringing Andy Reid's 10,000-page Russian novel of a playbook to life. I mean, it was just the second half was poetry in motion. I think he threw 1 incompletion in the second half.
Was it only 1 incompletion? Wow.
I think he only had 1 incompletion in the second half.
It was locked in, man. But then again, they were getting wide open. Like,
yes, and he did it. He throws 3 touchdowns to 3 completely different receivers, just like they've been doing all year. Kelsey,
oh my God,
that was a dime.
And Kelsey was running around. He was like still doing the shake. The dude's still like stumbling, coming out of his defense, and the ball is just waiting for him right on his hand. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. Kelsey, Toney, Sky Moore, and again, that I don't think there is anybody who has a better red zone offense than the Chiefs.
No.
Period. I mean, it's just the way they scheme dudes open is ridiculous.
Is it time to put our tinfoil hats on?
Let's talk about Nick Bolton first.
Okay.
Because honestly, this has to be, even though it happened in the first half, this has to be one of the biggest plays of the game for me. The fact that Nick Bolton picks up this fumble recovery for a touchdown. Eagles had the ball around the 48-yard line. Hurts tries, to get the edge. He switches hands with the ball and just drops it, just flat out drops the ball out of nowhere. And he kind of kicks it loose a little bit too. It took a great bounce. Nick Bolton scooped it up, took it 36 yards to the house to tie it up 14-14. I mean, to me, this is like a total sliding doors moment. But I would argue, given how the first half was playing out, that if that play doesn't happen, there's probably no way the Chiefs come back to win this game.
Yeah, maybe.
Assuming the Eagles go down and score there, because then they're up like what, 21-7 at that point. I mean, it's like either way. I mean, the Eagles responded the way you would hope. They came back out with a 12-play drive that forced the Chiefs to punt, and then the field goal at the end, they go up 24-14. So it kind of, but I would argue that this play, even though it happened pretty early, like completely changed the game. And Nick Bolton played the game of his life, right?
Yeah.
He's been the Chiefs' leading tackler all year. He had the most tackles of any player in this game, including that huge tackle on Miles Sanders in the second half. I think it was at the end of the first half, that forced the Eagles to kick that field goal instead of going for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Right?
Because the Eagles were kind of in fuck it mode at some points. Like, if it's going to be 4th and 2 or less, we're going for it. It felt like that was how they were. That rugby thing was working. They were just grinding it out. It was impressive.
Totally. The other major turning point is obviously not only the 3 straight touchdown drives by the Chiefs in the second half, but also Kansas City's defense stepping up in the second half.
Yes.
The Eagles' first second half drive was a 17-play drive that ate up nearly 8 minutes off of the clock, and they still had to settle for a field goal. And on the Eagles' next drive, the Chiefs forced a 3-and-out punt that, unfortunately for them, landed in the hands of Kadarius Toney.
Dude had just really bad punt.
Bad kick, but man, he had to do the work. Dude had just scored a touchdown, and now he, is returning a punt 65 yards all the way up to the Eagles' 5-yard line, which set him up for the 35-27 lead. Longest punt return in Super Bowl history, by the way.
Yeah, saw that.
Again, Eagles kept fighting. They showed a lot of heart. They got a lot of that Rocky in them. They scored the game tying touchdown. But if Mahomes can score in only 13 seconds, you damn sure he can do it with over 4 minutes on the clock. The only question was
5:15. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, the only question was, could the Chiefs eat all of the clock?
Right.
Because this was absolutely shaping up to be one of those games where it felt like whoever had the ball last with any significant amount of clock left was probably going to win the game.
Yeah.
Which, of course, brings us to the conspiracy corner where we have to talk about this holding penalty that set the Chiefs up for the game-winning field goal. What is your opinion, Mr. Rollins?
I felt like it sucked that it had that he did that and that it got called. If I were the ref, I may not have called it, especially seeing where the ball landed. But they didn't call pass interference. Sure. That's the difference.
Right.
But in the grand scheme of things, it sucks. But then I can understand calling it if you're watching the play and then that happens and then you just throw the flag early and not realize that it didn't matter. It didn't really hurt the play. That's hard to determine in the moment. And I think it sucks because it would be nice to see what would have happened. But I feel like that's not why the Chiefs won this game.
Agreed. And, it's easy. It's always a lot easier to remember the play that happens at the end of the game and to forget all of the other shit that happens during the game.
Don't forget the momentum that was lost when the refs did not call a defensive holding when Schuster Smith was coming across and the guy was holding his arm. That's a first down. That changes that drive. You got the fumble. Yep. You got a touchdown that was taken off of the board that was questionable. You got the Goddard catch that was questionable as well.
My argument is that
complaining as well.
Yeah, and you know, the Miles Sanders fumble that could have been another scoop and score. You know,
Right.
yeah. Honestly, it's like just because it happens at the end of the game doesn't make it any more significant. It doesn't. All of the calls, all of the missed calls, to me, land equal on balance. Just because
Right.
they happen at the end of the game doesn't make them more important. Okay, because like you said, any one of those calls goes a different way, it changes the trajectory of the game.
Yeah.
And for starters, James Bradbury, it not only did he hold Juju's jersey, he also admitted it in
Yes.
the post game presser. Okay, he said, "Yeah, I held him. I was hoping they wouldn't call it, but I did it." Second, the play happens on the Eagles' 15-yard line. Butker's going to make that kick anyway, probably, right?
He missed the
Sure,
kick
he had
earlier in the
missed.
game.
Of course, he had missed one earlier, but from 15 yards, he's probably going to make that. And yes, it would have left a minute and change on the clock rather
Right.
than 8 seconds. But even that's no guarantee for the Eagles,
No.
especially considering the way the Chiefs' defense is playing in the second half. And finally, kind of takes me back to the original point that I made when we first started talking about this game. You had them right where you wanted them.
Yeah.
Your offense balled the fuck out. You ran up a double-digit lead, but your defense didn't show up. They didn't make plays, and they allowed the Chiefs to take over in the second half and win this football game. One holding call, regardless of how soft you think it may be, does not change that. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
And all of these idiot Eagles fans who are out here throwing around these scripted conspiracy theories, like, just stop.
It's a
Just stop.
pacifier. It's helping them get over it. It'll
Mm.
be all right. It's unfortunate that I felt bad as a fan of the game because I like to see a crazy dramatic ending, but it is what it is, man. And then when they showed it and you see him pull him, see him tuck him a bit, you know, you're just like, I get they hurt, and they didn't say pass interference, so
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Like it is what it is.
I mean, I'd be curious to see what the win probability would be at that point in the game. I think I could check that actually.
You mean
Where was that?
if they get the ball back with a minute 15, it's probably going to be around 35%.
I think it's less actually.
Yeah, it's got to be. I understand that too, but at max, it can't be more than 40% of a win probability.
I think it's. I'm looking at it here. I think it was somewhere around 20% actually.
Okay, see what I mean?
Like even if they had gotten the ball back with a minute left, you know, you're still gonna have to deal with that Chiefs defense.
That work, yeah, and Chris Jones coming after you because it's a pass play
Exactly.
and no timeouts.
That's
Yeah, it's
true.
tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. And they
What
missed
was
some
your
delay
take?
games. That was like the refs. I mean, that was like it didn't seem slanted in any way towards any team.
No,
It seemed like an average game of refereeing.
Yeah, to me it looked like yeah, there were a few calls that could be debated. But for the most part everything seemed like a normal NFL game,
Yeah,
you know? So, I don't know. I don't get the outrage. But I'm not an Eagles fan, of course.
exactly.
So, what was your take on Rihanna's halftime show?
Fantastic. I liked it a lot. I like the phones in the air. I like the dancers with the. My favorite part was the subtle movement of the dancers when they just like only moved their head or something. They were all in unison, like behind her, and it seemed like they were like rumbling after her a bit. It was really cool when her walking backwards, her stopping with the makeup to put makeup on. Was it her makeup brand probably? You know what I mean?
Girl boss.
Yeah, it was really cool when she did that because that was like the best promotion you could have during the Super Bowl. Especially they're not getting paid. She's like, all right, well, and she said she had a special guest, and it was the fetus in her stomach. Did you hear about that?
Exactly. Yeah.
I thought that was cool too.
This is her first live appearance in quite some time. I don't remember how long, 4, 5, 6 years, maybe. I don't remember. Not only does she do 12 songs in 15 minutes, that has to be a
I
record.
forgot about half of those. I was like, damn, she got some bangers.
But the fact that she started off with "Bitch better have my money" was like, let's go.
That was a bet too. That was out there.
And rolling out with a baby bump in a big spot. I loved it.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. Saga was super excited. Yeah. This is a quote from Saga about Rihanna. She said, "She's big slay all day, bad bitch o'clock type moment." Right there.
I don't know what the kids are talking about.
This is what kids say today. Did you see? This is a really dope ass video that we should post in the Facebook group. She showed me. Did you see the woman who was doing the sign language for the halftime show?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
She was going off like
yeah.
That was dope. Yeah,
they're the best, man.
And
when you see like them do like Snoop or something like that, some misogynistic songs, they go all in, man.
I actually I saw a few criticisms of the show saying like, "Oh yeah, it was great to see her, but like the energy level wasn't, through the roof." And I was like, you know what? I kind of liked the energy level of this show.
The
fact
really,
that she came out
confidence, man.
That exactly. I think the level of confidence that she has, the way that she like commanded the moment.
Yeah.
And because she had so many background dancers that and the way that she used them as if she was like kind of the puppet master pulling the strings on all of these was very powerful.
Reid-esque.
In my
opinion. Call her Reid-esque. She was like Andy Reid of a halftime show.
Yeah.
We're
exactly.
Down a little bit. I thought we're down, but I'm okay. I'm fucking Rihanna. I'm Rihanna.
And by the way, I'm Rihanna and I'm fucking 6 months pregnant. So fuck off. Okay. Exactly. I'm not gonna. Yeah. What do you want from me? I got on a platform that's hovering 100 feet over the ground.
And stepped onto another one.
Yeah. Are you not entertained? Fuck you.
People are stupid.
No, but I thought she was great. I wouldn't necessarily put it in my. I personally wouldn't put it in my top 5 because I wouldn't consider myself a Rihanna fan.
No, I wouldn't. I don't know about top 5. I'd have to sit down and think about that. But it was good. That's all. It was good. It was really good.
I will say this. I liked it, even though I'm a bigger fan of Dr. Dre and some of those other people that were there than I am of Rihanna. I was disappointed in last year's show in the sense that it was so clear that show was only for television, given that half of the set was just completely inaccessible to over half of the stadium. Like, I thought it was really cool the way she thought about how not only will this be visually cool for television, but it will also everybody in the stadium will be able to see it.
Yeah, good point.
You know what I mean? Because the way they built the set last year made it so that like people sitting on the other half of the stadium saw basically nothing.
Yeah, good point. They had to look up at the monitors probably.
Yeah.
At the Jumbotron. Good point. Andy Reid out coaching Sirianni, who cried at the national anthem.
He did.
That was another thing. The national anthem was great. That guy who
was pretty great. We watched that too.
Oof.
Chris Stapleton. I've heard of him. Obviously,
but I don't know much about him, but I'd heard of him.
I've completely tuned out of like new country. Like, if it wasn't recorded, I love country music, but if it wasn't recorded before the 1970s, I'm not interested. Ever since that achy breaky heart shit came along, I feel like it just country went in a direction that is not interesting to me at all.
Okay. Well, he was great.
But I have heard that Chris Stapleton is a little more old school, and I thought he crushed the national anthem.
Yeah. And did you hear that? I forget the actress's name, but she sang the Negro national anthem.
Oh no, who did that one?
I forget her name, man. You'll know if you see her, man. She's an actress. She's on that show Abbott Elementary. Black lady. She's kind of a character actress a bit.
Oh, is she? Oh, okay. Maybe it's the older. Is it the main girl or is it the older lady?
It's the older lady.
Okay,
the one who's like
I don't remember her name, but
Yeah.
Exactly. I know who she is.
But she was great, man, singing Lift Every Voice and Sing. It was nice.
That's cool.
Good stuff, man. The performances were good. We got a good product. Fox did a good job. We had Greg Olson. And what were you saying about Greg Olson, your issue with him?
Exactly. I think that his definitive opinion on whether or not that was a holding call at the end of the game, I think made things worse than they needed to be. And also, like, if you noticed, there was like the initial camera angle did not really highlight how much of a hold it really was until they flipped it around and showed you the other angle. But when they got that angle, he never went back and said, you know what, actually, I mean, technically that is holding. Sure, we could have a debate over whether you would want him to throw a flag right there, but that is holding. And I think he made it. I think he made the problem worse by having such a hot take and not. He sounded like a Philadelphia Eagles fan to me.
I thought Mike Pereira sounded like an Eagles fan whenever they brought him in. I was like, Mike Pereira got money on this game, man. Because it seemed like every call he was like, "Oh, I wouldn't call that," you know.
I mean, I agree with you that I like Greg Olson too, but I think it was a bad moment for him.
Like they called
it was a moment
Smith
where
too. The drop, you know what I mean? Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Was going out of bounds, and then the ball hits the ground and moves and all of that stuff. It took a long time for them to review that, but then it's like Pereira was still, even once they changed the call. I wouldn't change that one and all of that stuff. And I was talking to Sean about that. I was saying that they do this whole well, the ref called it. It takes more to change a call. I think they should throw that part out. Forget what the ref called. It's a questionable call, and the ref's original opinion, because he didn't have all these he or she didn't have all of these camera angles, then it could have been just a bad call. It shouldn't be like, well, it has to be no, what do you see? You don't have to say that it's more powerful because the ref called it this. I don't like that they do that. Like, well, in order to overturn, no, we found out when we watched it that it's a fucking not a catch or inbounds, out of bounds, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
We know refs can make mistakes. It's like, I don't know.
Absolutely. I just think that I felt like in that moment, Greg Olson was not as aware of his responsibility as a broadcaster as you would hope for him. Like that you almost have to, like, we all tune in and we all sort of celebrate the guys who keep it real on the broadcast, but there are certain moments where it's like, you know what, dude, we need you to straddle the fence here because you actually don't know what the fuck's going on right now. Like, it's, I mean, you're clearly insisting that, because the thing is that you can sit here and say that, like, oh, it sucks that he would make a call like that at that point in the game. For me personally, I want the ref to call a call like that at any point of the game. I'm rooting for consistency. I'm not rooting for the ref to change the way he calls the game when he gets to the fourth quarter. That annoys me even more.
But that's kind of what happened if you think about them letting that go earlier and then them calling it them.
Yeah, but again, you go back to the other calls. Earlier. I mean, the one where the guy literally was like holding Juju's arm.
Right.
Like,
that's what I mean.
He had his arm like pinned behind his back.
Right.
And they don't make that call.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not consistent. So if you're saying to them, well, you didn't make that call, why do you make this one? Then it's inconsistent.
True. And look, there's going to be inconsistency in the refereeing. There always is. But my point is that we should not be out here rooting for them to change the way they call the game based on what quarter it is or how much time is left on the clock.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree. And I think Greg also, it's unfair to say that he was sound like a Eagles fan because I was disappointed too in that they made the call, but just as we want the drama. You know what I'm saying? We
Sure.
want the drama
Yeah.
of them to have to see what Jalen Hurts can put together with 3 points down, 1 minute left, no timeouts. We want that.
But that's what I think he got mixed up. I think he
Yeah.
got mixed up with, because that I can understand. He got mixed up with the idea that he would rather have the drama,
Mm-hmm.
but he got it sort of twisted with
Yeah, his
trying to
responsibility.
argue that shouldn't have been a flag.
Yeah.
Um, and I just think that that's kind of, you have a great responsibility
Yeah.
as one of the only two voices who get to actually call the game. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't afford to let your emotions get
Agreed.
tangled.
I feel like that with
Um,
boxing matches before. When you watch a boxing match and it's
mm,
close or whatever, and they're giving their opinion of the points and all that. Next thing you know, you're thinking that it goes one way, and then if you were to watch it muted, then you're like, oh, this guy was winning this round. But the way that they
right.
commentated on it, they made it seem like he was getting his ass whooped.
Hmm.
So that's the same shit, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. And it did, it sort of tainted what was otherwise an extremely entertaining Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I can't tell you how many Super Bowls from my childhood were over by halftime. Uh, I feel like we've had a great run, with the exception of
yeah.
that Patriots Rams. What was that, like 13-3 or some shit? It was like that. With the
A
exception of that
shitbowl
one,
brought to you by
with,
XLEX.
with the exception of that Super Bowl, I feel like the last decade has been highly entertaining.
I also feel like we got the best two teams. It was great to see the best two teams go at it, and I'm also glad that Andy Reid gets put into another tier of coaches.
Agreed. He
And
deserves
they
it.
were mentioning the ones who won too. They kept out Mike Tomlin for some reason, but coaches that have won 2 Super Bowls. But he joins the
Mm,
company of coaches like Jimmy Johnson and, as I said, Mike Tomlin and Don Shula. Some of these
mm.
great coaches. He gets to separate
Mm,
himself from the pack because a lot of people were wondering about Andy Reid if he's that dude like that. But he
mm.
is. So glad.
Oh,
And the
I
fact
wonder
that
what.
they won because of coaching. They can't, coaching wins that game.
I I I don't think there's any way to disagree with that.
Yeah.
Honestly, um, to me, I think that's another reason why the holding call at the end shouldn't matter. I
Yeah.
mean, if you have a minute, if Eagles fans take a minute to sort of calm down and really think about what happened in the second half, you just got flat out schemed, dude.
Yeah.
Just completely out schemed in the second half.
Yeah. They were doing what they
So,
wanted against a top defense. So,
mm,
yeah. And every commentator or every analyst picked the Eagles. Some said by 10. And they
mm.
started looking like Nostradamus at the half. I was like, oh, okay. I guess it's just a better team. I started rooting
Like I
for your
said,
bet, your parlay.
I was in on the Kool-Aid, man. I drank it up. I really thought that you know if you looked at these two rosters outside of Mahomes and Kelsey,
Mm-hmm.
I think the Eagles had better players at nearly every position.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the one of the biggest differences is that this defense, which is this Eagles defense, which has been winning them games all year, um, didn't didn't really factor that much in the game. Um, and the other thing that you kind of, I mean, I hate to bring it up, but the Eagles haven't played a team this good all year.
Nah.
I mean, I mean, look at the road they took to get to the Super Bowl. They played the Giants, who were fake as shit. And then who else did they beat?
49ers would lost their quarterback.
And then 49ers lose their quarterback on literally the first drive. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt. I have every reason to believe that the Chiefs are playing the 49ers in the Super Bowl. I could have seen
Again.
that.
That
So
turned into a rivalry.
I think the Eagles should be very happy about this run. I don't know, whether or not they're able to keep this team together and run it back is another conversation for the offseason.
They got the nucleus of something special.
For sure. Yeah.
So I could see them getting back there. But the NFC we'll see what happens over there, especially if they lose Aaron Rodgers over there in the NFC. That's one less quarterback to worry about.
Which, we don't know. It's my understanding that he's going into his darkness retreat that he went the day after the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So he's in it right now. It being it's Tuesday, assuming he's going through with the four. He's about halfway through, I would say.
I'm totally embarrassed and totally ashamed.
Or we do not care.
We do not care.
I like that you do the lip smack every time.
That's the best part. It's the setup.
Well, as
who do you got for
the season started? It was Chiefs gonna win, Mahomes gonna be MVP, and I put 0 crowns on it. I'm so stupid not betting that.
You did, right?
Yeah, I didn't put in.
Well, also, it needs to be said that the flip 'em and pick 'em results from the splendidly sexy, salaciously slippery Super Bowl extravaganza, Jonathan Rollins is the winner.
Yes, thank you all. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I want to thank my mom. I want to thank my guy who's hanging out for me, Jesus Christ. And
right. Speaking of nailed down, nailed it.
What if the guy who? What if that's what he said? That's when the phrase was born. When they finally put that last nail in Jesus' wrist. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah, but it was a tough road, man, because you were kicking my ass the whole season, and then.
Well, I get dramatic come from behind regular season victory by me, and a dramatic come from behind to tie it up right before the Super Bowl by you to become the 2022 Flip 'em and Pick 'em world champion. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate it. Did you have any superlatives you wanted to hand out?
Yeah. For MVP, I got to go Mahomes. I mean, it's not like he lit up the box score necessarily. He only threw for 182 yards, but his completion percentage was near perfect, going 21 for 27. As I mentioned, 1 incompletion in the second half. 1, bro. I mean,
that's amazing.
He made all the big plays when it mattered most, but mostly I give him the MVP because of the way that he has managed to adapt to this new version of the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay. Yeah. The box score does not tell you the whole story. This version, where they have set aside this obsession with always looking for the big play, right? And this is what happened when you lose Tyreek Hill, and now you got to rework who you are, right? So they've made this effort to move away from the big play and start to identify the right play, right? The difference between the big play and the right play for the moment is sometimes like underrated when you look at these Chiefs. They're a completely different team than the team that won the Super Bowl a few years back, and a QB who's able to remain humble and coachable. A guy who's able to realize the necessity of adaptation. This is why I'm picking Patrick Mahomes as my Super Bowl MVP.
Wow. You're the real MVP.
Honorable mention, I feel like, has to go to Nick Bolton, though. Right?
Yes. Because he would have had 2 touchdowns if that didn't get called back. So he was Johnny on the spot twice. And he's the one who added the pressure to make Hurts. He gets the sack, strip, fumble, and fumble recovery and touchdown. So if he gets that other one, he's the MVP that nobody would have guessed.
Exactly. And Kelsey, too. I mean,
Kelsey was
he had the one. But did you see this stat about his career playoff stats?
He's right behind Jerry Rice.
He's played 18 career playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's like a full season plus one game.
Yeah.
He has, in those 18 games, he has 133 catches, 1,548 receiving yards.
Damn.
And 16 touchdowns.
He's going to the Hall.
Tight end, bro.
Yeah, man.
That's insane.
He's gonna go down. He's gonna go down as one of the best tight ends ever.
Whoa! It don't get no better than that, baby.
That's right.
Well, I was gonna say I want to give it to Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, the tandem that seems to be the unsung heroes of this game for scheming up something to throw off that defense. And it seemed like they did it at the half. They knew something about the Phillies defense. They knew that these types of plays were going to work, and they stuck with it. And they did these types of plays 3 times. 2 resulted in wide open touchdowns, and one a wide open reception on the left side of the field for a big play. So they were getting Kelsey open through scheme, even though they're focusing on Kelsey. So it's good to get their flowers, man, because a lot of times we all want to praise the quarterback so much, but these guys obviously have been doing something great. And they were asking about retiring, and he's like, I still got that guy over there, man, Pat Mahomes. Why not come back?
That's true. Absolutely. I agree, 100%. I actually have I want to combine a trash and a shit got learned.
Okay.
And this one goes out to the NFL as an organization.
Okay.
If you're going to be bad at the big things, you got to be good at the little things.
Mm-hmm.
We know how the league has dealt with big historical issues, right? Concussions, sexual, domestic violence, race norming, kneeling during the national anthem only to change course and suddenly act like Black Lives Matter. The initial stance taken by the NFL almost 100% of the time proves them to be on the wrong side of history.
Yeah.
Which is why when it comes to the little things that make football such a great game that we all know and love, you just got to get it right. And I'm talking about the field, the condition of the field. You've got to get the little shit right. Players are slipping and sliding all over the place. The field seemed like an issue all night long. Eagles lineman Jordan Mailata said it was like playing on a water park. Hassan Reddick said it was the worst field he'd ever played on. Both players were quick to point out that they're not saying that this is why they lost the game. They admit that the Chiefs had to play on the same field. So it's not like that. But they also said that players on both teams were discussing it and agreeing about how bad the field was, like during the game as it's happening, right? And of course, the broadcast crew picked up on it as well.
Yeah.
And it's not like the NFL could claim that they had no idea that this would be a problem, because for those of us who watch college football, in the semifinal, the playoff semifinal game between TCU and Michigan, they played on the exact same field and they had the exact same fucking problem.
Oh, wow.
I mean, if I was an Eagles fan with a team that's known for blowing up the edge and getting to the quarterback, if you want to complain about something, I'd be complaining about the condition of the field, to be honest. The point is that something as basic and fundamental to the game as the field should not be one of the top 5 headlines on every sports media outlet the day after the Super Bowl. I mean, it was literally like if you look at the headlines Monday morning, right there, somewhere within the top 5, story about the field. How the biggest game of the year, and you're going to play on a subpar field? I don't.
You are trash.
That's a good one, man. I'm gonna combine my trash and shit got learned as well. Because I think the trash is the local authorities in sports towns, and the shit got learned is they care when they care, when it's convenient for them. Because I saw the Eagles before the game. Some Eagles fans destroyed a car. There was a car
before the game.
Before the game, they were just like out hanging out, and then they just destroyed this car. Dude standing on it. Once they flip it over, the crowd's all around, and they've greased the poles on Broad Street so that the Philly fans, because I mean they're just gonna climb it, and they look at it as a challenge and all this stuff, and it's turned into this whole thing. Yet when somebody is protesting police brutality, then these crowds, it's unbearable to have these
right.
90% of the protests are peaceful anyway, but it's just oh my god, we can't have these people here highlighting what they find are ills in our society. No, we can't do that. So but when it's sports, you can fucking vandalize somebody's car and climb poles and put people in danger of you falling down or breaking something. You're already drunk. All of this shit gets overlooked in that situation. The hypocrisy of it just shows exactly what matters to them, and that's why I think
You are trash.
Good point. Wow.
that was it, man. Who's the scariest team?
Well, it's probably well, the Bears have the first pick in the draft. I guess I'll say that.
Speaking of, man, we're gonna be taking a break because the Super Bowl's over, and we're gonna come back once the next phase of the 2023 season. So,
well, to pull back the curtain and really let you in on how the sausage gets made over here. Jonathan is the one who requested that we take a break because he wants to go into the lab and start working on his mock draft. So,
yeah, get ready, y'all.
I know how serious he is with his mock draft and how much he loves that. So I felt like I had to respect the request. So yeah, he'll be working on that mock draft. Also be out there working on them jokes. You also go see Jonathan Rollins. He's funny as hell. I will also be working on my own version of jokes. Something I've been hinting at for a while, but I still can't really say everything. But let's just say that I will be making a new TV series for someone that we all have heard of, and it's going to be funny as hell. It'll be a while before it gets to you. You'll probably hear us talking about football before you hear anything about that show. But anyway, I'm going to take a break to start working on that. Yeah,
we'll be back when at the latest camp, at the earliest draft.
Yeah, the draft will be fun. It'll be interesting to see where some of my former Bulldogs wind up. I know you thought I was going to get through a whole episode without saying Bulldogs, but I said it. I also want to say congratulations to my former Bulldogs, Malik Herring and Miko Hardman, who did not play in this football game, but they do get Super Bowl rings. So congratulations to them.
Some people say that the Chiefs won because they didn't play them.
Malik Herring hasn't played all. Malik Herring is like a third string defensive end. He hasn't played all year.
Rumor has it that that the Chiefs sometimes fake injuries. Just throwing it out there. Mahomes was never hurt.
That Sky Moore touchdown that was Miko Hardman's touchdown if he was healthy. I guarantee you that.
If was a fifth, we'd all be drunk.
That's true. On that note, let's go get drunk.
Yeah, man. Thank y'all so much for this season of SveNFL. We really appreciate y'all. And we'll be back and with a new, fresh, what are we going to name next season? 2023 season. The fantastically fun, ferociously flagrant football season. 2020.
That's nice. I like that. That's a good start. Nailed it.
Speaking of nailed it, go to church. Thank y'all so much. It's been another season of SveNFL with another amazing season of football with Jonathan Rollins
and Schif Musara.
We'll catch y'all on the other side. Thanks again. Peace.
Later, y'all.